There is a moment, somewhere in your childhood, that you probably don't even remember. A moment when you needed someone and no one came. Maybe you cried in a room by yourself. Maybe you learned to comfort yourself because comfort never arrived from anyone else. And somewhere in that quiet, unremembered moment, your brain made a decision that would follow you for the rest of your life. You grew into someone who prefers being alone, not because you dislike people, not because you're cold or broken, but because being alone once felt safer than needing anyone at all. Here's the strange part. The story you tell yourself is that you're simply independent, that you just enjoy your own company. But the real reason is stranger and far older than you realize. Your preference for solitude was not a preference at all. It was built, wired into you before you had the words to describe what was happening. To understand this, you have to go back to something psychologists discovered decades ago. In the 1950s, researcher Harry Harlow studied infant monkeys separated from their mothers and found that even the promise of food could not compete with the need for comfort. The infants clung to a soft cloth surrogate over a wire one that fed them, revealing that connection itself is a biological need, not a luxury. Around the same time, psychologist Mary Ainsworth ran what became known as the strange situation experiment, watching how young children reacted when a parent left the room and returned. What she found changed the way the world understood love. Some children ran to their parent for comfort, some ignored them completely, and some froze, unsure whether to approach or retreat, because the very person meant to soothe them was also at times the source of their fear. That third pattern is where your story might begin. When a caregiver is inconsistent, warm one moment, distant or harsh the next, a child's brain cannot predict safety. And an unpredictable brain does something remarkable to survive. It starts protecting itself in advance. It stops expecting comfort, so it never has to feel the pain of comfort being taken away. This is where dopamine enters the story, and it is not what you think. Dopamine is not simply the chemical of pleasure, it is the chemical of anticipation, of wanting. And nothing spikes dopamine like uncertainty. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, when love, attention, or approval arrive unpredictably instead of consistently. A slot machine does not pay out every time you pull the lever. If it did, you would stop pulling. It is the uncertainty that keeps you hooked. A childhood filled with unpredictable affection trains the same circuitry. Your brain begins to associate longing itself with love, mistaking the ache of waiting for the feeling of connection. Here's the twist almost no one talks about. That wiring does not just create people who chase unstable relationships. Sometimes it creates the opposite. A child who learns that closeness is unreliable may grow into an adult who avoids closeness altogether. Choosing solitude before solitude can be chosen for them. Psychologists call this an avoidant attachment style, first mapped and later research building on Ainsworth's work. It looks like independence. It feels like peace. But underneath it is often a nervous system still bracing for disappointment, still protecting a child who once needed something that never reliably came. Look at your relationships today, and the pattern often repeats in quiet ways. Maybe you pull away right when someone gets close. Maybe you feel more comfortable managing everything alone than trusting someone else to catch you. Maybe silence feels less dangerous than hope. None of that is a personality trait. It is a memory, stored not in words, but in behavior, replaying itself decades later. Understanding this does not mean the wiring is permanent. The same brain that learned to protect itself in silence can slowly learn that connection can be safe. But that begins with the same moment where the story started. Recognizing that the child who once needed someone and learned to need no one instead was never actually broken. That child was simply waiting. And in a strange, quiet way, some part of you still is.